All right, so this morning I want to catch up real quick on what we've accomplished last week. We did get our rear brake basically sorted out. That's pretty much how it's going to be, at least for our test ride. Tomorrow I want to do the shift lever, and in preparation for that shift lever, I want to take us on a bit of a field trip today. But first, there's this guy. I posted on social media, on Instagram and on like the community stuff for YouTube, and basically anybody who answered the question totally got it, which was, what are these things off of? They're off of BMW Z4, which is the little like James Bond convertible, the second generation of the James Bond convertible. I've always thought these were cool. They're like little side marker lights. They go on the side of the car, like right in front of the door. I'm gonna try and put them on a bike. I'm not sure if they'll say BMW on the side or not. I'm not sure if I care, but I just think the lights are cool because you've got this little bulb on the inside there, and then it lights up, and it lights up all the way around, 360 degrees. I think that's cool. This is a great, fun little gimmicky light. These unfortunately were broken when I found them. They're not in the greatest shape, but they're the only ones they had, and I'm lucky that they had them. Somebody had clearly tried to take them before, but wasn't good at it. And they just tried to pry it off and bust these off. Luckily, they were nice enough to stick them in the trunk, and I was smart enough to look in the trunk and find them there. Because when I showed up, it was just this on the side of the car, and I was like, oh, somebody already got them. And I checked the trunk, and sure enough, there they were. So I need to get a bulb for these. I need to glue this stuff back on there. I don't know that I'm going to use this whole giant part here. I just thought I might as well take it while I'm there. But luckily, this is just on there with some adhesive, and so I can adhere it back on there, use some epoxy, stick it back on. If anybody has any ideas on the lights here or on the emblem part, let me know. I mean, this is like raised three-dimensional stuff on there. So this one, on one side of the car, clearly was parked in the sun a lot, and the other side in the shade or something. I don't know what happened here. Let me know if you have any ideas if I should just clean this up and make it sort of shiny. This is like aluminum or whatever. I could just clean all the paint off and sort of shine this up and just have it sort of shiny aluminum with sort of a subtle BMW emblem on there. That's one option. Or I could just leave it as is, and it could be sort of the history of the junkyard reflected on the bike. I think these are fun. But yeah, so today, the fun part is this guy here. I've taken the rear wheel, taken the tire off the rear wheel. And this is our old rear wheel where it had this damage on the side here. I used to work with a guy who used to repair wheels, like aluminum wheels on the side or whatever. And he always recommended to me for practice, he was like, go get a wheel from the junkyard and then practice welding on it, whatever, because this is a cast aluminum. So today I'm going to practice welding cast aluminum, basically, on our wheel that we just happen to have. I don't know that I have a really good way to video this, unfortunately, and it doesn't weld that much different than regular aluminum. It's just when they cast it, the casting oftentimes has contaminants in it. And so when you're welding, you gotta sort of be aware of that, and the trick, whatever is, I'll try and clean this stuff up, this section here, as much as I can that I'm gonna weld. And then I'll come in here and with the TIG torch and sort of heat this stuff up and sort of bubble out some of the contaminants a bit. And then I'll start adding filler rod in. And then once I've got the filler rod established in there, I'm just welding on top of the filler rod, and I go through here like a CNC printer, and just add a layer, add a layer, add a layer, add a layer until I filled this gap. And we no longer have this busted off piece. We now have a lip again. This is basically just missing the lip. And it's also got this big dent. I'm not sure if this thing would be repairable. You'd have to push this stuff back out, maybe bust off this whole piece here, because it's got a crack down here. It's not something that I would say, hey, I could repair that for you. And then once you've got it welded up, you take it to a machine shop and have them machine it down to actually what it's supposed to be so it matches the rest of the rim. That sounds simple, and all cases like this one are not that simple. And so, yeah, because this rim is, this is affected out into here. You'd have to I don't know, cut off half of this rim and weld it back. I think this would be something I would say I would definitely not try and repair this for a customer, that's for sure. But it does allow us the opportunity to practice some welding here, so we'll try that this morning. All right, so phase one is to get in here and clean up this edge and everything as best I can. And I'm gonna do that with this guy here. And I'm also gonna try and clean up any surface paint and things like that around where I'm going to be welding as well, so that stuff doesn't get sucked into the weld. All right, so this is the cleanup phase done. And hopefully you can see what I'm trying to do here, which is I've got a nice shiny metal here where I'm gonna be welding. So I've cleaned it up as best I can. I could also go ahead with some acetone and clean it up as well. All right, here, so next is welding. I'm gonna go ahead and clean up my welding rod just to get all the oxidation off of it. Should flow better that way. I'm just using Scotch-Brite to do that. Then I'm just using a little gas lens here, a small gas lens with a 1/16 tungsten on it. And importantly, I'm clamping directly to the piece here, try and make sure I've got a good ground. If you're ever welding and you've got, especially aluminum, and you've got it sputters, your arc is just sputtering, it's probably because you don't have a good ground. So here I'm just going to come in and I'm going to try and with my TIG torch try and sort of just pull it up a little bit around the edges here. I'm going to be welding and sort of burn out some of this contaminants, and then I'll start adding some filler metal in there. All right, so let's take a look. So in the center part there, I did pretty good, where I just sort of went through and just heated it up, melted it down a little bit, and that looks good there. Nice little base for welding. On the one end here, I messed up a little bit. All right, so now I'm gonna go ahead and add filler metal in here. All right, so it is not done by any means, and nor is it pretty, nor am I proud of it, any of that sort of stuff. But I'm at least going to show you. I mean, I started talking to you about it, so I'm going to finish showing you. That's kind of where I ended up on that. You can kind of see this sort of 3D effect, 3D printing effect going on there. That's the general idea, but a poor execution on my part. That's the idea. You kind of see the 3D printing going on there, yeah, that effect. So there's still a lot more filling to do in there and everything, but this is just practice, and I could possibly come back and work on this some more at another time. But yeah, for right now, I'm just gonna leave that. I would still have to come in here, clean this up, and still like sort of fill along these edges and stuff and whatnot, but you know, I'm definitely not restoring this rim. But yeah, I'm far from professional on doing this sort of stuff, and so that's why we practice though. Yeah, so my plan today, and one of the reasons I'm practicing today on the cast welding, is that tomorrow I'd like to do some welding on that shift lever on the VFR, and so we'll do that tomorrow. And today I got to go to the metal store and grab some aluminum rod to weld onto there. So that's it for today, just messing around.